So, fam, you can tell that you lost 8 pounds, and your scale will tell you that. It'll give you a number. But your scale cannot tell you what those 8 pounds were made of. It has no idea. It weighs you the same way it would weigh a bag of rice. And it hands you a number. And you build your whole week around that number. Guess what happens? There is a gap between what the scale knows and what it can't know. This is the reason why your last diet worked for 5 weeks and then quit on you. Today, I'm going to show you what your body actually takes when you take food away from it and how to make sure it takes the right thing. This this is another episode of Nutrition Tuesday. We're focusing on the cost of cutting calories. Last week we went through halfway. So if you haven't watched last week's episode, go back and watch last week's episode because we covered the basis and the foundation for today's episode. And we are simply continuing from where we left off last week. So we're not going to go through everything else. If there are certain parts as we go through this that sound new, or you're like, oh, but what does that mean? Where you need a bit of context, because I explained exactly what it means when you lose weight, what that number on the scale means. And quickly to recap, usually when your scale tells you a number, it's essentially just telling you what you lost, how much weight. And weight includes the fat, the muscle, the water weight, all those things. And there is a way. If you found that your diet, you've lost a couple pounds in the beginning of your diet, and then you just stalled and you felt like, okay, there was no progress that you're making, there is a way to fix that. There is a way to fix that. And I've already mentioned again in the last stream, you can go watch it so that you can watch this episode and it makes a lot more sense as we go through today's stream. So in today's stream, I'm actually going to focus on where we left off. So what I left you with in the last stream was cutting calories doesn't decide what you lose. Is that clear? Cutting calories doesn't decide what you lose. So we're going to continue on today, and we are looking at what you protect as what decides the rest. So you have to protect something very key when you're trying to lose weight. So let's take that in. So when you take food away, your body has to go shopping inside you. And if you don't tell it what to take, it picks for you. It'll it'll take some fat, it'll take some muscle, it'll quietly take your steps. It'll take your patience and your sleep and your good mood on a Tuesday afternoon or evening. The mistake isn't the size of the cut. The mistake is cutting without deciding what you're protecting. Speed is a downstream of that. Everything is downstream of that. This is the first part that you have to make sure that you're following. And that matters because this means that every hard, unprotected cut is alone in your body. You're borrowing from your next year to buy this month's number. Then next year comes and you wonder why the same diet doesn't work anymore. It's not that your body betrayed you, it's because you've spent it. So, right now, just to get a pulse check, if you joined last week and if you're joining for the first time, right now it doesn't matter. But does this part land with you? If it does, just type something in the chat. Type something like protect or one. Drop something in the chat, in the comments anyway. anywhere you're watching from. Because even if you're listening, I'm sure like most listening platforms now allow you to participate and comment, but drop something. Let me hear what exactly you're doing. And that's the word for the second half of this episode, or what I just told you about this topic about cutting, the cost of cutting. This is what we're looking at now. So protect four things in order. And they're in this order for a reason. If you can only do one, just do the first one. I'll show you exactly what to do. So pay attention and stick with me here. First thing, protein, strength, steps, speed. Protein, strength, steps, speed. Say with me one more time. So if you've got it, it say with me one more time. Protein, strength, speed, strength. Sorry, let's come back. That's my bad now. Okay, so protein, strength, steps, speed. That's it. Clear? Take a screenshot if you have to. Protein is the message. Try thinking of it this way. Your body is deciding what to take. Protein is how you vote. Why protein? When protein is high, you're telling your body over and over every few hours, the muscle stays. So go get it from the fat. When protein is low, you never sent the message, and your body takes and makes the call without you. This is why this is why lie number three, I'm trying to recall what the number three lie was, but we have to go back to the last episode. But this is why lie number three from the last episode does so much damage. When you cut evenly across the plate, you turn the message down at the exact moment you need it the loudest. So, what does this look like in food? Not math, not 200 grams, 400 grams of protein, that sort of thing. People throw that around a lot. But because I'm not right now, because I'm not going to bury you in all the grams as most people do. And what I want to do is put a real serving of protein in every meal. So a general rule is just use a palm-sized piece of chicken, beef, fish, or pork. Or maybe if you enjoy eggs more, do 3, 4 eggs, or a big cup of Greek yogurt or cottage cheese. Every meal, not just dinner. Add your protein. Make sure you prioritize your protein on your plate. Make that the first thing that you actually add on your plate. Most people I meet eat almost no protein or not enough protein until 6 p.m. for dinner. And then they try to catch up in one sitting, which is harder on your body. So if you want to target that protein goal, a lot of people who train do well around 1 gram per pound of the body weight that they're aiming for. So it has to be the goal weight that you want. If you're losing weight, let's say from 200 to 150, you target 150. If you're trying to gain weight and put on some muscle, let's say if you're 150, you want to be 180, you target 180. That's the high end. And if you don't have to hit it perfectly, I mean, you still don't have to hit it perfectly. You can get close, even when you miss by like 5 grams, 10 grams. It doesn't matter if you're plus or minus, it doesn't matter. because at times what I find is at some point you might make up for it on average over a long period of time, and it works out. So close itself beats perfect because close is the one you'll still be doing in March. So don't expect it to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. And when you're cutting, protein is the last thing you cut, not the first. Cut the drinks. If you drink alcohol, not good for you. Cut the extra condiments. They have empty calories. Cut the extra oil if you can, like cut it. Just use what's necessary. Sometimes you can use a spray. That's good. Cut the handful of things you eat standing up at the counter. Things like a handful of nuts that you otherwise wouldn't have eaten, the snacks that are just laying around. But make sure that the protein stays. The protein has to stay because protein itself is not a health food. It's the instruction. It's the instruction you give your body before it takes its own way. It makes its own way. So this is important. Make sure that you're noting this. Okay. Protein is a message. Lifting is the reason. Your body is efficient in a way that feels personal, but isn't. It doesn't like paying for things you don't use. Muscle costs energy. For your body to keep it, your body has to pay through energy. So if you've got muscle sitting there doing nothing and food gets scarce, that muscle looks like a subscription you forgot to cancel. Lifting, strength training cancels the cancellation. Every time you pick up something heavy, you're making the case. I use this, don't touch it. There is a principle in working out. Let's say training, personal training, right? It says use it or lose it. That's what it is. It's a principle. That's just how your body works. Use it or lose it. And there's also adaptation. The more you do something, your body adapts. Progressive overload, those are the different principles. If you've heard progressive overload, there is also a principle, use it or lose it. If you don't use the muscle, your body's going to say, yo, you don't need this extra baggage. Pew! There you go. It ditches it. So you don't need a fancy program. If you train 2 or 3 days a week doing real resistance work, this will cover most of this. It'll help you. So push something, pull something, squat or hinge with your legs, upper lower body, front, back. Do that. Carry something heavy across the room. That's it. If you have bands at home, use the bands. Add some resistance with bands. If you have dumbbells in the garage, those count. Kettlebells, those count. Even your own body weight, that counts too. As long as you're putting resistance. If you're doing push-ups, if you're doing dips, that all counts. That is what you need to understand. Now, I want to say this plainly because it's probably the single biggest mistake I watch a lot of women make when they're cutting. Cardio does not send this message. I'm not against cardio. I do it. It's good for your heart. It's good for your heart. and your head. But an hour on a treadmill does not tell your body to keep the muscle. It burns some energy and goes home. If cardio is the only thing you're doing while you cut, you're eating less and giving your body no reason at all to hold on to the engine, which comes back to protein. Protein makes the argument. Lifting is the evidence for this. I've seen even people that have trained and coached before I coached them. Let's put it this way. They were doing cardio all the time, running, treadmill, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing so much cardio? And they, it was like they were chasing something in their mind. They were chasing something. I could tell like this person mentally, they've got it. They know that they can achieve this and they're locked into their goal. But at the same time, even though you're putting in effort, me just observing, I could tell like, okay, this person, once they reach their goal, they might not like how they look because they're going to lose a lot of muscle. And the aesthetic goal that they're trying to achieve, what they had told me, I was like, okay, well, yes, you're going to lose weight, but the look that they were looking for will be different because if you just do cardio and just run, the muscle can get and look wasted, where it's like loose, a lot of loose skin when you're not eating enough protein and you're not lifting weights. Everything just droops down. So to avoid the droopy look, you have to eat your protein and strength train. Those are important, most important, crucial. Protect your steps. Now, here's the one I told you about in the last episode. Something disappeared out of Emily's week and she never noticed how it left. And it wasn't food, it was her movement. Nobody decides to move less, it happens under the radar. She's underfed, so she's tired. So she takes the elevator without thinking about it. She sends a message instead of walking down the hall in the office. She sits through the part of the evening where she used to tidy up, or she says, I'll do it tomorrow. She stops fidgeting. Her body quietly turns the dial down on everything that isn't essential, and it never sends a notification. We call this neat, right? And this is like when someone's shaking involuntarily, like they sit down and they shake their foot, and maybe they just do this without really paying attention to it, right? And you're sitting, you just shake your foot. Apparently, you burn a lot of calories. I mean, no, well, not a lot. Cumulatively, you'll burn a lot of calories if you just are in that habit. But when you're not eating enough and you lose that, you're going to lose that ability to just move. So, this is important for us to understand this. And that's your body being smart, not your body being broken. It's doing exactly what a well built system does when the supply gets short. It conserves and preserves. Excuse me. The problem is it conserves in the dark and you don't notice it. So you shine a light on it. You have to watch your steps, not to hit 10,000. That number came from a marketing campaign, not a lab. It's just a number, arbitrary number that they just figured would stick, which is good, better than nothing, right? So watch so that you can see the drop. If you were at 8,000 before the cut and you're at 4,000 3 weeks in, that's not a discipline problem. That's a signal. That's your body telling you the cut is bigger than you can afford right now. That's the whole point of watching those numbers, monitoring, tracking, just being aware. Because I say it all the time. You have to be aware. Track if you're a beginner, you don't know anything about what your body responds to. Start tracking. Start tracking your food, start tracking your activity to see where you land. That is the most important thing that you can do when you're starting out. And for me as a coach, that's the first thing that I tell someone. Like, if you get anything, like, obviously, there's a lot to talk about a lot of times, but if you take anything away, is always to track, bring awareness to understand your numbers, understand exactly what is going on. Because the moment you know what's going on, that's when you know how to fix it. Because the scale, again, it's just a number. But these other things, the factors like sleep, your food, your movement, those are the things that move the needle. Those are the things to focus on more than, okay, the scale. The scale will fix itself. Because at a certain point, you might weigh the same amount, but your body composition is completely different. There is a difference between that. So this is important. Track, 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 track. Awareness, track everything. Use Heavy for tracking your workouts. Use My Fitness Pal for tracking your food. Use Whoop or Fitbit or Apple Watch or Aura Ring or a sleep cycle app to track your sleep, to track your heart rate, monitor it, keep a log of it. And then when you have that information, it tells you a story and it tells you exactly where you need to focus on. And you stop guessing. If maybe you need to go see a doctor, then you know that, okay, I got to go see a doctor. But you have to track and see what is going on. That is the first step. Because without tracking and just aiming without a proper target, you're not going to reach a goal. You're going to start shooting in different places that maybe you don't even need to. So that is the important thing. We need to understand that. Number four, the last one. And this is where we come back to Proverbs. Speed is a setting that decides whether the first three are even possible. Here is the simplest way I can say it. You can only protect what you keep up with. If you're dropping weight faster than your body can hand over fat, it doesn't matter how much chicken you ate. The difference has to come from somewhere else. Fast cuts don't just risk your muscle, they make protein and lifting less able to save you. For most people, something in the neighborhood of maybe 1 to 2 pounds a week is plenty if you're carrying a lot. Half a pound to a pound if you're already fairly lean. And I'll tell you what happens every time somebody hears that on this episode. Somebody in the chat is doing the math right now and thinking that'll make me maybe take 8 months. And yes, you're right. It will take 8 months. it will also still be gone in 8 months, which is more than what you can say for the last 4 times. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to want. You're allowed to want it fast. You're not allowed to be surprised when the fast charges you for speeding. It's a speeding ticket. Right here, speed is not a bonus setting here. Speed is a setting that decides what the other three can save. So, very important to understand this part. Everything I just gave you right now works on a Sunday because Sunday is easy. You've had some rest, the fridge is full, and future you looks like is very capable from where you're sitting. Wednesday is the test. Work ran late, you didn't eat enough at lunch. So by 4 o'clock, you're not hungry. You're hunting. The kids need something. And whatever you promised on Sunday is a memory by 8. I'll start over. Here's what I need you to understand. And it might be the most freeing thing that I can say to you on today's episode. That's not a character flaw. That's a math problem. That's a math problem you set up on Sunday. You built a plan that only works if Wednesday behaves. Wednesday has never behaved. It's unpredictable. Not once in the history of all Wednesdays. So let's build one that actually survives a Wednesday, a regular Wednesday. So we're going to figure out a plan here, right? So we're going to look at 5 moves. Move number 1, protein first. Every meal, before you do anything else, don't build your day around what you're removing. Build it around what you're protecting. Decide the protein, then fill in the rest of the plate with whatever's left in your budget. It flips the whole exercise from just cutting to choosing. Move number 2, fix your lunch before you touch your dinner. Almost nobody's problem is dinner. The 8 p.m. raid on the pantry is a receipt for a lunch that was too small at noon. Make lunch bigger and more protein heavy, and watch what happens to the evening you've been blaming yourself for. Move number 3, track for a reason, track for a season, not forever. I kept tracking. The one thing that I kept from bodybuilding when I was competing during my competing days was tracking. And I'll tell you why. Not because you need to log food until you die, because 2 or 3 weeks of honest tracking shows you things you can't see any other way. Most people are shocked twice. Once at how little protein they eat, and once at how much they drink. Use MyFitnessPal or whatever tool you like. Personally, I started using MyFitnessPal and I just stuck with MyFitnessPal. I'm not going out to start learning all the different apps that are available. Unless if I make my own app, maybe, maybe. But in terms of just working and getting something that is accurate, something that works, use MyFitnessPal or any other tool that makes sense for you, that makes it easier for you. I've made videos on how to set up MyFitnessPal, how to track your meals, how to track your calories. You can go watch the other episodes. So do this, give it 3 weeks, learn the patterns, then use them. Move number 4, pick your 2 lifting days now and make them small enough to keep. Not the whole, I'll go 5 times a week when you know that you won't. Pick 2, put them in a calendar with the same seriousness that you'd give a meeting where someone's waiting on you, like your doctor or your boss. 30 minutes, just do push pull legs, carry if you like carrying stuff. 2 protected days beat 5 that you imagine and count on and you skip on and say, next week, I'll start again next week. That is powerful. Just pick 2 days. Move number 5. Watch the steps and treat any drop as data. When the movement falls off, you don't need more willpower. You probably need a slightly smaller cut or slightly more food. Read the signal instead of yelling at yourself. So, chat, fam, if you're listening, only if you're watching, which of these 5 is going to be the hardest for you this week? Type the number in the chat, in the comments, leave a comment. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I want to answer the most common numbers while I can, and we can make another episode on those, the most common ones, and we can focus on those a bit more. So, fam, 2 more real life pieces here that I want to share with you because this is where good plans go to die. Restaurants. That is the first thing. You don't need to become the person reading nutrition labels at the table on every menu. Order protein first. That's the same move as move 1. Steak, chicken, fish, whatever they do well. Then pick your one thing you actually want and let the rest go. The bread basket is not the enemy, and it's also not free. Unless if you go to some nice fancy restaurants. Both things are true. Okay, so this one I'll say straight because don't people don't like this when I talk about this, and it's still true. Alcohol is calories that don't fill you up, and it makes the next decision worse, not just the current one. I'm not here to tell you what to do on a Friday night. I'm telling you that if you're cutting, if you just want to be healthy and you're stuck and you haven't counted the drinks, you haven't actually counted. And the weekend math, nobody does. 5 great days and 2 loose days is not 5 out of 7. 2 big days can flatten a whole week's deficit on their own. That's not a reason to be miserable on a Saturday. It's a reason to know what you're spending so that when the scale doesn't move, you're not standing there confused and calling yourself a failure over something that was just arithmetic math. Does that make sense? And one thing, and then we'll take any questions that you might have. Part of why so many people feel broken is that you're comparing your real body to pictures of people who are not doing what you're doing. I competed. I've been backstage. The fitness industry is full of drugs, and almost nobody says it out loud because it's not good for business. They also adjust pictures, put filters, Photoshop pictures on Instagram. I've personally never supported that. And I don't know, outside of a real medical need under a real doctor, but this isn't a lecture about somebody else's choices. It's about measuring, it's about your own personal measuring stick. If you're judging your progress against a body that was built with things you're not using, you're not behind. You're just playing a different sport. That's part of what I meant when I said I redefined what healthy looks like. Healthy isn't the stage. The stage was a sport, and it was one weekend. Healthy is what I can carry into my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That is what health means. That is what health is. So don't compare yourself to Instagram influencers or these youngsters that are taking performance enhancing drugs. Those are not good for you. Performance enhancing drugs are not good for you. Do not take those. Whether you're a teenager, you're an adult, you're a lady, it's not worth it. Never is. Only if your life depends on it. Let's put it this way. And it's being used to treat maybe a medical condition. And more so for people that haven't even had kids. You haven't even started a family. Because those are your hormones. If you understand what hormones are in your body, you wouldn't be messing around with synthetics, with these other drugs, altering your hormone levels. Because some of the damage that happens, some of it you can't reverse it. So just realize that you're not behind. You're playing a different sport. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Let me know, and I'll cover these ones, and I will make another video. We can follow up with another episode. And now here's what I want you to sit with as we go on today, go on with your day, and we come back next week. You've probably been asking yourself the wrong question for years. The question hasn't been, how much less can I eat? You've answered, I think we had a question. Is that a question? Let's go. Let's go, Ranger. Let's go. So, if you've been asking yourself a question and you're trying to figure out, like, okay, how much less can I eat? We've answered that one. And we've talked about plenty of times. And one of the things that we need to make sure that we establish is protein is always going to be the first thing that we protect. Protein. When you're cutting, you're trying to lose weight, make sure to protect your protein. Second thing is lifting, resistance training, strength training. That is a second thing. It doesn't matter if you're using body weight, doesn't matter if you're using resistance bands, doesn't matter if you're using dumbbells, kettlebells, if you're going to the gym, do that. Train. Pick 2 days, days that are realistic, at least 2 days. 30 minutes. Start with 30 minutes. And the third thing, steps. Protect the steps. Make sure that you're tracking. And tracking, again, awareness. That's what we need to do. Bring awareness to everything that you do. See what works, see what's not working, even before you even start changing things. When you understand the data, like, okay, this is what it's telling me, this is what I'm doing, that's when you know how to change and what to change. Important. Those are important things. So that is what we have. Again, we need to make sure that we're protecting protein, the strength, steps, and then speed comes at the end. Speed is the last thing. You can take a month, a year, and when you take longer to fix your health, it helps you as long as it's not emergency. If it's lifestyle, especially lifestyle, lifestyle is about building a habit. It's about being able to come back, doing it over and over and over and over again. That is what it is. That is habit formation. That is how you change. That's how you transform. It's about the habits. What you do repeatedly is who you become. So the question is, are you ready to become that person? That person that you admire, that person that can still be taking care of themselves when they're 60, 70, 80, and taking care of the people around them. That is a true goal. Longevity. That's what we're after. So next week, Tuesday, we're going to come back and we are going to look at another part of this. And it's something that almost nobody teaches. Everybody will show you how to cut. Almost nobody shows you how to come out of a cut without putting it all back on. We call that rebound, a yo-yo, right? You've got the yo-yo rebounds. That's the biggest mistake people make when they start eating more again after the cut, because you cannot stay in a deficit forever, just cutting. Okay, you reach your goal. So what are you going to do next? So it's the reason a lot of you have done these diets 3 times already and kept on putting it back on. But the question is, how do I maintain and still enjoy my life and not put it back on? So same time next Tuesday, bring someone who's stuck and we can have them join us as well.